Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Financial Astrology. All right, my gosh, so much is happening in the world. Uh, I was planning to, and I will talk about, we're going to talk about just updates and reflections on the US economy, what is happening, particularly what is happening as well. Oh, let me put my power on. Particularly as well, what is happening for particularly US citizens with student loan debt. I'm going to be sharing some clips. But the first thing I have to talk about is that there's been massive power outages in Spain and in Portugal. So I spent the day chilling, not doing, I had some clients, etc. I was just doing my usual stuff, and then made my notes on what I wanted to do. Oops! Oh, it vanished. Oh gosh, that's a bit strange. Why is that not? Oh, I'm trying to show you a sheet of paper. uh, anyway, I was trying to show you a sheet of paper where I've got my notes and stuff on there. Just about in terms of what we wanted to talk to today. And then, hear about this massive power outage. It's just like, wow, it's one thing after another. And you guys, of course, will remember me saying that Uranus is on the star Algol. As you know, I've been talking about this for ages. And the orb will start really kind of like easing off when we sort of like get to June-ish. Yeah, maybe back end of June or something like that. But remember that Uranus is the planet of what? Sudden shocks and surprises. So it also deals with earthquakes. We're seeing earthquakes, tremors, etc. But Uranus is also a planet of electricity. Yeah, of electricity. And of course, we had the power outages in Heathrow. Do you remember that? That was a few weeks ago. And now, basically, I think the majority of Spain and Portugal, with even a bit of France affected as well. The Spanish islands, I've just been kind of catching up on the news. The Spanish islands, the Iberian islands, like Ibiza, Mallorca, etc., all of that stuff, they've not been affected so much. But there have been, obviously this affects hospitals. It's affected the traffic light system. It has affected so many different things. People stuck on the underground, people stuck on the trains. The electronic payment systems aren't working. And I think in many ways, it just reminds us, doesn't it, of our vulnerability when it comes to these things. I was actually watching a YouTube channel, someone I've not watched that much before, but, used to do some interesting content. And this person was kind of really gloating about the whole thing. And, oh, look, when you drink through this straw, you can drink dirty water. And I've got this and I've got that, and showing off all these gadgets and bits and bobs. This person lives on the Isle of Man, folks, which is way out in the, I don't even think it's the English Channel, because it's not there. It's the piece of piece of sea between basically Ireland and the UK, and the island man's basically in there. So of course this person's got things like water storage and fuel storage, because you need that stuff when you live on a remote island. Yeah, it's a crown protectorate of the UK. So this person gloating and blah blah blah. And I don't normally do this, but I had to write a comment on his channel and be like, dude, you should not be gloating about all of this stuff, because of course, if power goes off to hospitals, that means people could die. Think of a hospital, like people are on ventilators, heart monitoring machines, wired up to all sorts of equipment. It was also mocking that people were like crying because they couldn't get into their phones. But imagine, and because people were stranded, imagine how scary it is if you're in the underground and the power just completely cuts out, and you are underground and you're all in the pitch black with a whole bunch of people that you don't know, a whole bunch of strangers, and you can't get no phone reception, no internet, nothing. And he was also laughing because people were stranded. Spain has got one of the largest high-speed rail systems in Europe. And he was laughing because they said they were stranded in the middle of nowhere. Do you know how big Spain is? Spain is a massive country, and it's not very densely populated. So if the train stops and you are between Madrid and, I don't know, Alicante or Barcelona or something, you could literally be in the middle of nowhere with no mobile phone reception. Yeah. So Uranus is the planet of electronics, is in sidereal Taurus at the moment, which is what asset classes of all kinds, if you heard me say before, but it's an earth sign. Earth signs deal with the practicalities of life, infrastructure, money, food, all of these kind of things. And we're going to see a lot of changes on Earth while Uranus continues to go through that sign, which it will do for the next 7 years. But the star Algol, the reason why I keep on going on about it, because Algol deals with what? Decapitations, things being cut off. It also deals with the deaths of prominent people, or the endings of careers, etc. All of that stuff, as you know, I've spoken about ad nauseum. So of course, things like power cuts and the like, earthquakes, weird stuff happening with electronics. They still don't know what has caused it. As many of you know, and as I've been discussing before, we are entering a phase of more solar flare activity. So we only need one big one to lash us, and so much of the modern world just gets completely knocked out. Of course, if you live on a remote island, in a large body of water somewhere, and everyone around you has fuel storage and backup generators and this, that, and the other. But that's like, living like old school. You do that when you live in remote places because you don't have the resources, the electronic infrastructure. That's natural and that's sensible. But the most of us live in modern urban cities, and we try not to take this stuff for granted, but how can we not take it for granted? Everything is electronic. And I also reminded this person as well. I said, listen, you're a YouTuber. You're able to make your YouTube because you had electricity. So going around mocking people for not having electricity, when electricity is the foundation of our modern world that we all use, and we can literally not be without. Without electricity, all of a society would just break down, and it's as simple as that. And yeah, whoopee-doo for the person who lives in some remote island and they've got petrol storage and water desalination tablets and, basically can live this prepper lifestyle. But how many of us really on planet Earth in the modern world today live that way? Almost none of us. So this is affecting millions of people. So I wanted to share about that. There's quite a few of you here. And then Sherry's saying hello from Ohio. Question here is Tom Seasalt says, why is Elon so quiet? The reason why Elon is so quiet is because so much of his stock and stuff is tanking, and all of his associations with Trump and just the way he's behaved, those two Zig Heils and stuff like that. It's like, come on, dude. All of these cuts that Doge have made, which are turning out not to be efficient at all. I mean, we knew this, but it's going to be costing the US taxpayer a lot of money. It's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest failures of a US government department ever. It's extraordinary. And it turns out that the cuts, which have done so much damage, it doesn't even add up to 1% of the total budget of the United States. So it's just cruelty, and it was just to get himself, because he was being investigated up the wazoo. And I've said before when I did my predictions on Trump and Elon. I said Elon is probably going to sacrifice Tesla, and he'll take the SpaceX and the internet contracts and stuff like that. I mean, his workers and investors must be livid. Okay, hope you're okay. Wow, this is another reality check. We are all so vulnerable. Having experienced an earthquake recently here in Vancouver, this is a reminder to have an emergency kit. Absolutely, I agree with you. And I did have a bit of an emergency kit, but mine's dwindled down a bit. They've actually been talking about emergency kits in Europe and I think in UK, but I think it's time, again, not to panic buy, but I think it's time to invest in such things because we are so reliant now on our electronic devices. Look, I'm coming to you. Everything is electric now, the whole modern world. And that's why I just thought I had to say, even though I don't normally do that, it's very rare for me to comment on another YouTuber's channel, but I just thought it was just so below the belt. Like, you can't help with things, electricity. No one's carrying around special straws that allow you to drink dirty water. Like please, it comes out the tap. Do you know what I mean? In modern life, you don't need stuff like that. Imagine people go, look, like I'm going to be going to the Thames, like the image, behind, and drinking, going down like a cow, it's like, come on. This is modern life. And then Brenda Allen is saying cruelty is the point with these people. Indeed it is. Oh, let's see, Cherry, right, Hogarth. I think the Amish here in Ohio would last longer than most of us if there was no electricity. Most of us have gotten away from that farm lifestyle. Absolutely. And this is why I thought, oh, well, I was due to make a video today because I didn't make a video last week anyway, but how appropriate. Yeah, we have this huge power outage. If you look at my background behind me, this is the modern world. This is how most of us on planet Earth are living to a greater or lesser extent. The vast majority of humanity lives in cities now, powered by electricity. Yes, the Amish would do obviously way better than the average person, of course. I think they do allow refrigeration now and freezers. So, of course, they've allowed a bit of modern life to come in. But they still use horse and buggies, Is that what we're supposed to do? Do you know what I mean? It's just, it just really ticked me off, this person on the internet with a very big platform, a very, very big channel, and to be kind of making these low digs. And it was so obvious, delighting in the schadenfreude of it all. That could easily happen in the UK. So many people are on heart monitors and wired up to machines, breathing apparatus, etc. And you're kind of laughing about hospitals having blackouts and trains not being able to work, people not being able to fly home, holidays, plans being ruined. Yeah, just a bit of low life. So here, Tam says, remember water filters in emergency kit. Yes. So what I will share is, I'll go back to my original thing. Oh gosh, I've gone on for a little bit, which I wanted to talk about the cost of living in the USA. As you know, it's a topic I've touched on before. We are almost at 100 days. I think it's tomorrow. It will be 100 days of the Trump administration. Months ago, I and a friend of mine booked some tickets for this event. There's going to be this event in London to talk about the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. And my goodness, what a crazy, tumultuous ride it has been thus far. I think we can all agree that this is not sustainable. And of course, whoever on YouTube, you never know who's watching. And this is why I never try and insult people for their vote and all of that stuff, even if I don't agree with the thinking. But we are having this huge reality check. And of course, with these tariffs, at one point, there were 245% tariffs on China. Not on everything, on some things, but that's just absolutely ludicrous. And of course, currently 145%. Again, not on all items. Some have been exempted. Trump is talking about, you know, some kind of deal or whatever. He says, oh, I'm talking with China, and China are like, dude, stop lying. Like China have been calling him out. They've been like, dude, stop it. We've not been in touch. Like, just stop. Yeah. And so there is now talk that certain ports are not seeing much stuff going on at all. So I'm going to share some clips from some other independent YouTubers, but they're also reporting on the news. Because I watch mainstream news. I also watch independent YouTubers, again, to get, you know, because us independent YouTubers, we can bring a different angle. And as long as they're quoting proper sources as well, it has merit. So I try and broaden it out. And then I watch some mainstream news as well, but I will watch the Hindustani news. I will watch Al Jazeera. I will watch, you know, a bit of CNN, a bit of MSNBC, and see other bits are reported, but, you know, BBC News, Sky News, read some of the papers, independent news media, you know, to try and get a rounded thing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share my screen with you here, and we're going to talk about the price of Doritos. And you're probably thinking, Hoagie, Doritos? Really? On a financial channel? Surely you can find something a bit more profound. But the reason why I want to report on Doritos is because it's a food that we all understand, and many of us have bought and eaten in our life. But it's one of these things which is, it's a real basic. Yeah, it's a real party staple, isn't it? So if we look here, so it was something that I saw reported on American news, but I just wanted to kind of search it just to see what else would come up. So here's the AI overview here, which happens automatically now for a lot of questions on YouTube. Anyway, yes, a bag of Doritos in the USA can cost over $6 for a bag of Doritos. Doritos is cheap food. Cheap. Yeah, supposed to be cheap anyway. Especially larger party size bags or those purchased online in bulk. The average price of potato chips in the US was around $6.56 in June 2024. So that's still very high. However, you can find smaller bags or individual servings for a lower price at grocery stores. Yeah. And then it says the factors affecting the price. The price of Doritos can vary depending on the size of the bag, specific flavor, and where you purchase them, the grocery store. You can find larger party size bag and bulk packs of Doritos like 24-ounce or 1-ounce packs online for prices that may exceed $6 per bag. So let me just do here, stop share. Oh, where am I? So the reason why I picked that was because a pack of Doritos is like a bellwether for so many other prices. Doritos is not an essential food item, of course, but it is a food item that many of us use all over the world, frankly, because it's an international brand. But I would often buy Doritos and stuff when I have friends over, you're having a movie night, you know, something like that. They are very kind of glycemic. So, you know, I don't eat so much crisps and stuff like that anymore. And I do miss Doritos from time to time, you know, with that powdery kind of stuff that they got on it. They're, you know, they're tasty. Not everyone's cup of tea, but most people love a good Doritos. But they're a little treat. And obviously I wouldn't eat Doritos every day, but they are not a luxury item. That's the important thing. They are not a luxury item. This isn't like going to Trader Joe's and getting hand-tossed, you know, garlic and fennel crisps with, you know, smatterings of Parmesan and poppy seeds and all of this kind of stuff. Yeah, these are Doritos. This is entry-level stuff. And in many ways, the price of Doritos can really talk about inflation and where things are going. So I've been watching like these videos and people talking about this stuff. So I'm like, oh my God, wow, what is going on? We've got some people here. Hello, Kaylee saying hello, Hoagie, and everyone in the chat. Nice to see you. Here, Sherry says the supply chain has not even kicked in yet on tariffs. Most companies in the USA manufacturing operate on just-in-time inventory. Yes, I saw almost $7 a bag of potato chips at Target. Like, what the WTF? London, I said this to my American friends and associates before, the last time I was in the States. And when I told them London is way cheaper than the United States, they were like, no way. Yes. Japan is cheap. Japan is like 3 times cheaper than London. And that's Japan. I'm not even joking because, I was in Japan last year. I was amazed at how cheap it was. So imagine this is before this is all kicked in, but rather than me kind of blathering on, let me share the next presentation and we'll talk more. And remember too as well what I said. You remember I said with this great alignment that came up, which is still very powerful in effect on the 29th of March, 2025. And I said it's happening in the 4th house of the USA chart. And I said it deals with food, security, real estate, literally homeland security, stuff like that. The real estate market is being affected as well because of boycotts and stuff, but I don't want to get too far ahead. Let me just share the next bit. Yeah. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe and share and all that jazz. Thank you so much. All right. So if we put here, this one's about global trade. Yeah. So this is Kyle Kolinsky, who you often see me reference, but he's very good. He's on the money. He's on the money. Very passionate, quite often potty mouth, but very passionate. And I often like to watch him to get that independent twist on the story, and then I'll watch the mainstream story as well and compare. Anyway, so this is going to be talking about, I think, groceries, and then he's going to be talking about the port of LA, and I think he's using MSNBC as his reference point in terms of news as a point of discussion. Yeah, so I'm just going to play the clip now.
Getting warmed up, man, but the price increases are happening. Okay, next. So this one should send a chill down your spine, bro. CNBC is reporting that more Americans are financing groceries with buy now and pay later loans.
Like what? WTF? More Americans are financing groceries with buy now, pay later loans, and more are paying those bills late, the survey says. Oh my goodness. This has to stop. This is not sustainable. A loan to buy groceries. But with Doritos at $6 and loose change a pack, or close to $7 in Target, is it any wonder? Because, people's wages aren't going up by that much, are they? This is astonishing. I'll play you a bit more.
And more are paying those bills late. Wow. When you're at the point where you are financing groceries, something is fundamentally wrong with the economy. That is not something that is in any way, shape, or form sustainable. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit. This is probably one of the biggest deals. Okay, this is what's happening with the ports. So what's happening with global trade and the cargo ships going in and coming out. We have never seen anything like this before. Let's watch and we'll break it down after.
Ports like the Port of Los Angeles are seeing a steep drop in imports from China. And joining me now, we have Lorianne LaRocco, global supply chain reporter for CNBC Business News.
We are seeing a massive, massive drop, Alex.
Wow.
You are looking at a 44% decrease in vessels year over year coming in.
Now, I want to be clear. This 44% drop in vessels is actually not the end of it, because this is from a few days back. Since then, it has gotten worse.
And what's really key here, Alex, are the people that move the containers. You need people to move trade. If you have 40% less containers coming in, that is going to impact the people that are the truckers, the railroads, the warehousing. This is more than just us consuming and us bringing in orders. There's an entire supply chain here that is connected to jobs.
So in other words, this thing is going to have a cascading effect, the likes of which the Trump regime has not considered for even a second. Because those motherfuckers, they're not even playing checkers. You know the old saying, like, they're playing chess, we're playing checkers? Like, they're not even playing checkers. They're rolling their shit up into little balls in the corner. That's what they're up to.
And so the longer this goes, Alex, we're going to see some significant impact here in terms of employment. In fact, the Port of Oakland, which is a huge port that relies on both imports and exports, are very, very balanced. They've got a 50-50 split. They already started warning on Friday about the detriment when it comes to jobs and the exposure with this.
Even if a deal is reached soon, are we in for at least some troubling times ahead?
I believe we are. And the reason why is that trade takes time to move, and you also have to order it. The fact that we've had a pause in all of these manufacturing plants. I have had sources tell me in China that there are factories that are literally shut down because they're not making any products for the United States. So if you think about it, remember with COVID, everything shut down and then everything ramped back up. And so what happens is once you hit that unpause button, it's going to be that rush to make the materials and then get the product on the vessels and back here, which causes congestion and raises freight prices.
And
Right. What are your thoughts on that, folks? Yeah, I share the clip with you. It's and you can see why. You can see, well, this is why I was saying, and I know you guys believe me, I know I'm preaching to the choir here and stuff, but this is why I was going on and on and on about the alignment that just happened on the 29th of March, 2025. I said this will be profound. And you remember I said it will be bigger than COVID. Bigger than COVID. It already is, really. It already is. And it's just, I just think of all the people that did not vote for this, and everyone is suffering the consequences, you know. And people that aren't even in America, it's just astonishing, isn't it? Someone was talking about groceries here. 1 minute, 7 bag, where is it? Here we are. Carmen said, I went to our local pharmacy and name came dark chocolate bar that used to be $6.99 2 months ago is now $9.99 for a chocolate bar. Even in the UK, in the posh high-end version, a chocolate bar doesn't cost that. I mean, you can get a big box of like truffle chocolates, Lindt truffle chocolates, and yes, that might cost about £6 or £7, but in that you're going to have about 25, 30 chocolates. You know, you eat one a day, like the box lasts you a month kind of thing. Like, this is just astonishing. And then someone said here, I left those chips on the shelf. Yeah, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And then the price of snacks always goes up when people are stressed. We've got some hellos from Arizona. Lisbon saying, love Carl Kalinsky. Yeah. And then also as well, Old Silver. They've been gouging us for quite a while now. Absolutely. There's that as well. Peeper Frog saying minimum wage needs to be raised. Here, I think, what's this? Someone here. So Cherry said, there are only 2 adults in my family. I shop as smart as I can, and our monthly food costs are $500 to $600 for 2 66-year-olds. Wow. And that would be, from what I understand, a lot of people would be like, wow, you're able to shop cheap, because I know there are a lot of Americans that are paying way more. For some of them, that is their weekly shop. Those with families, like, you know, 2 parents with like 2 or 3 kids, from what I'm understanding, that's their weekly shop. It's just insane. It's just insane, isn't it? Mickey's saying it's really sad for the whole world. I'm disgusted. Yeah. And then Sherry said, I can't imagine having a house full of children or teens. Yeah. Because of course, I mean, we all know kids and, you know, people have to eat. What's this here? Sonia's just saying, I just heard the date of the conclave will select a new pope is May 7th. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for that update, because I did a pope video, as you guys know. Liz is saying 7 bag of potato chips, no joke. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Someone else, Crystal Blue, is saying we spend $600 to $800 per month. I'm shopping for a picky husband, a big German Shepherd, and me. I don't eat that much, but I love chocolate, and it's going up, up, up. Wow. God, and then here, Mickey's saying Kroger's is restructuring entire aisle because there's less product to put on the shelves. Yeah. So imagine the top CEOs of, like, you know, I can't remember, but, you know, recently, like where a lot of people shop, I can't remember the name brands off the top of my head, but we know recently, I think they went to the White House. You remember there was no press there and stuff like that. And these top CEOs of these companies said, dude, Duck L'Orange, well, obviously they don't call him Duck L'Orange, but they were like, dude, these tariffs are going to lead to empty shelves. How can you stock stuff with 145% tax? It just doesn't become profitable anymore. And as you've seen from that report that Kyle was sharing, which I've shared with you, the ports are already slowing down. 40% drop. This doesn't even take into account the boycotts. Yeah, the Canadian boycotts. And the boycotts because people from Europe don't want to travel anymore. But let me just share again to bring this all together. And then we're going to start talking about some solutions or something possibly that can happen. This one. We need to talk about student loans. This is just outrageous. So this is another YouTuber called Yak Motley. And what he does is he does compilations of content that people are sharing on TikTok and other social media to kind of make his sort of points and stuff. This is about student loans, and this might be a little bit distressing. This poor young lady who is just distraught at what is going on with her student loan situation.
At full default for most of these people, as the payments are having to be made now. A lot of people are getting their wages garnished, their paychecks grabbed by Uncle Sam before they can even see it. It's happening.
So do you hear that? Student loan persons are soon, I think in sometime in May, are going to have their wages garnished. From what I understand, it means that the government just comes in and takes a portion out. Yep, just out. Wow.
The debt collector is coming.
Not me entering my final stage of full-blown crash out. I'm literally crashing out. I was so excited for tonight. Oh my God, I'm so worked up. I was going to get dressed up. I mean, I still am. I'm definitely getting a martini now. Last week, I fucking hate student loans. Last month, I set up auto pay because I don't want to forget. I don't like being late. You can never get on the phone with these stupid student loan people. And I log on today because I have to get my fucking tax documents. My life never ends. I'm like, oh my God, it says my payment's late. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? I set up auto pay last month with my card and my bank and all the stupid information. And then I call them today and they're like, it's going to be a 3-hour and 50-minute wait time. And then I'm trying to have dad help me. And I'm like, what did you guys have me set up auto pay for that if my payments are now late? And I'm like,
we've been paying on these loans for 15 or 20 years, and I still owe the exact same amount that I owed when I borrowed it. I have paid $50,000 to my $50,000 loan. I've paid over that, and I still owe like $47,000. They're never going away. I could pay on them for 50 years And when I die, the bill will go in my casket with me. You want to know why people don't want to pay them? It's because they're never ending. It's not like a normal loan. They're impossible to pay. And the interest rates are astronomical. And they don't want us to be able to pay them off. They're predatory and they should be illegal. Getting an education should be free. We live in America. Nothing is free. So in America, you can go to college for $200,000 and not even be guaranteed a job. If you get a job, you might make $20 an hour, the same as the guy at McDonald's, but have to pay.
You know, an entire generation.
So what are your thoughts on that, folks? Again, this is, as you know, this is my financial channel where we go into things like this. We talk about economy, we talk about finance, and of course I talk about that in the wider context of astrology. But how do you guys feel about seeing that, seeing the stress that is happening to these poor people? And his video was about half-hour long, by the way. Obviously I'm not going to show you the whole video, but he had a whole range of Americans talking about this. These student loans that are become a shackle, become almost impossible to pay. It's just I just find it as extraordinary. So someone's saying here, Carmen says, I'm in the city, but with some outdoor space and planted beets, Brussels sprouts, tomatoes, onions, whatever else I can fit in containers. I'm growing my own. Good for you. Yes. And you remember too, I also said as well, I said with Uranus going through sidereal Taurus, I said farming is going to change. Food production is going to change. At this rate, particularly as we're going into spring, for those that might be really struggling and they're wondering where their next monies are going to come from, particularly as well when we also need to take into account Medicaid and Medicare, Medicaid is likely to be cut, etc. They're hovering around Social Security. You know, if you do have some of the spare funds now, it may just be wise and prudent just to have like a few planting boxes. Just get yourself some big planting boxes. Get yourself some good soil. It's now the spring. It's now the growing season. Just start growing stuff now. I mean, it doesn't mean you won't need to go to the store again, but it could mean that you could spend less. Do you know what I mean? If you're not having to shell out so much for your vegetables, remember, potatoes, easy to grow. Onions, easy to grow. Tomatoes, easy to grow. Zucchini, we say courgettes over here. Zucchini, easy to grow. Cucumbers, etc. Like, when we just start putting this all together, how are these people, these persons who have these student loans, how are they going to cope? A lot of them are going to default, and then they're taking out the way. Oh, it's just astonishing. Tony's saying, I just hope we can come together and keep people alive through this. Indeed. What's going so Old Silver says what's going on in shipping was tracking ships, and it looked back up over the China area. Some places have actually stopped shipping altogether, like they were saying, like that article that Kyle was sharing. She actually went on to say that, you know, well, she actually said in that part that I shared that some of the factories in China have just shut there completely because they're not shipping to the United States. Like, what's the point? It's astonishing. Here, Old Silver, predatory lenders, Peeper Frog saying, punished for getting an education. Ridiculous. It's true. And Mickey said, it's like getting a timeshare. Crystal Blue says, it's loan sharking. Yeah, this is supposed to be from the government. How can they be charging 12%? This is just... I don't often want to say it because it's very controversial, but I think I have to. In the Declaration of Independence USA chart, you know, the one that I use, I'm always using it, yeah? July 4th, yeah, 1776, 6:30 p.m., Philadelphia. That's the one that I use. There is a combination in the US chart. Do you know there is actually a combination which I associate with exploitation and slavery. I know that's a controversial thing to say, but it's that Pluto K2 combination in the second house. Pluto is god of the underworld, but it's also oligarchies and plutocrats. Pluto is what? Exploitation. K2 and bondage. K2 deals with like the shadow of K2 can be very dark, can deal with serial killers and just headlessness. Yeah, because it's the body of the dragon without the head. K2 can be very intense. The nodes of the moon always intensify whatever they are with. The second house in any chart, irrespective of the sign, deals with food, education, asset classes of all kinds. And in the United States chart, in that Declaration of Independence chart, this combination happens in the second house. And I'll just share with you, and then we'll look at a little bit more. Let me just do share screen, entire screen. I don't say it that often because I know that it's a bit dark for people, but the way things are going now, I just have to. I have to speak about it because I'm just seeing so much evidence. Let me go open here. I'm just seeing so much evidence of this configuration playing out, particularly because America is in its first Pluto return. So that Pluto is being activated again, and that K2 as well. So where was I? Oh, crumbs. Oh, gee whiz. What have I done? I can't find the bloody... I think I went past the page. 1 second. Let's do that. Let's do that. Where's my global astrology? I can't find my... 1 minute. Let me just close down and go back out. I think I missed something there. Let's just do open. Yeah, well, global astrology. That's the one. And then put here country, and I'll scroll down. USA Declaration of Independence. There we go. So I want to show you. Okay, so here you guys have seen this before. Forgive me if you've seen this chart before. Here is the United States. It is a Sagittarius rising nation. I know there are debates about this, but really this chart works incredibly well. Now, if we look here, this here is that combination of bondage that I was telling you about. Pluto retrograde. Whenever a planet is retrograde, is closer to the Earth. Now, of course, Pluto is billions of miles away, but the point is any retrograde planet, what I find in a chart, has more karma on it. That planet becomes more subconscious. It means that that person or that nation has to work harder, even harder, to understand that planet and properly integrate its energy, and particularly to use its positive aspects. Now, Pluto is the most subconscious of all of the planets in the solar system anyways. And this one is a retrograde one, so it's even more deep in the subconscious of the collective. And it's there with K2. Now, Rahu and K2 are malefics. Pluto, of course, is a cruel planet. Now, Pluto can do extraordinary things, but it's hard to get the energy working because we have to do so much internal work to reach in and integrate that shadow. But at his best, Pluto is a very shamanic planet. And he does create shamans. I've seen this in certain combinations, particularly with the Sun, Moon, Venus, Jupiter, or Uranus, yeah? So here we are having this Pluto return. So if we see where it says TR, TR means transits. This is where the planets are right now. You see here, this stellium is still big and active. The moon has just moved out. The sun has still moved out, but we still got Rahu, Saturn, Venus, Neptune, Mercury, and Chiron are still here. This is a very powerful stellium. When you superimpose that, this is happening in the 4th house of the United States chart. Real estate, sense of security, the seat of power. 4th house also deals with education. Look what they're doing in regards to the student loans. Food, security, the ports. Oh man. Anyway, I just wanted to share that little thing, and then we're going to start maybe trying to think of some solutions here. Yeah, what can we do energetically to kind of try and change these things? Yeah, so let me just do here. So thank you for this feedback, everyone, because I love talking to you guys, because I'm talking to real people, real lives, and it really adds richness to this content. Kaylee saying, I have student loans, but I'm not working, stay at home mom. I'm glad I'm not, because I couldn't afford a garnishment. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Nina says, so true. I have over $100,000 dollars in debt in student loans. I'm in my 60s and I will never make enough to pay them off. Criminal. Yeah. And you see, and this is why I say it's this combination. Like when you see K2 and Pluto together in a chart, unless that person is highly evolved, spiritually evolved. I mean, that could be the shaman of shamans, to be honest, but you could easily be a dark lord as well. Yeah, but it's a very intense subconscious energy, and we just see this. How is this, like you said, like Nina was just saying, over $100,000 in debt, and she's in her 60s, and how she's ever going to pay that off? And the whole point is, like that woman was saying in the video, they don't want you to be able to, because it's that indentured servitude. Yeah, it's that. Yeah. And then Peeper Frog said, on top of that, women getting paid approximately 20% less than men for the same job, but the cost of everything is the same. Women don't get a discount on tuition or goods or services. It's true. Yeah. And then here, Mickey says, I've got friends that are veterans and they have student loans that they're paying off. Wow. And then let's see here. Carmen just said, just picked up 2 Roma tomato plants for $2.50 each. That will provide tomatoes for the entire season. Yes, good for you. Go for it. Literally start growing it, folks. And let's see here. Ellen Z saying, it's not practical to go to any college. Go to trade school. Plumbers, roofers, window installers are working, making dollars. Yeah, these students are victims of the past. They must get a break. Yes, and that's what that guy went on to say in his video, is that the tradespersons, they are doing amazingly well. Again, like you said, plumbers, electricians, roofers. He was talking about female electricians as well, making absolute stack without all of this debt. And it's, in a way, it's kind of like, it's like this, it's like a scam, really, isn't it? It's like a scam. You're lured in, you're told, no, you must get a degree, you must get a degree. And it's costing such huge amount that the amount can never be paid off. Wow. Let's see here. Tam says, I hope we can restructure. We see education as an investment in taxpayers. Yeah. Exactly. What's this? Why is some people, one woman? I don't know how to say that. Why? Let's just say YVUY. One woman are harassed in the trades. Not everyone is physically able. This is true. This is true. You do, of course, have to have the strength as well to be able to, you know, tear down certain things, use claw hammers and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're a strong woman, then yes, you certainly can. And then Shiva Ray saying, yes, but there are certain certain careers that require a degree, so there's no way around it. It's true. It's us. Anyway, let me do, because I'm going to go for an hour. We've got about 10 minutes left. Let me make another presentation. Now, I wanted to share this because to give you an idea of why tourism is crashing in the United States. And it's not just because of Canadian boycotts. I did remember before, maybe on my Global Astrology channel, I mentioned the Welsh woman, yeah? The Welsh woman that went hiking. Now, what I did was, as preparation for this show, I went and, you know, went and had another look at the story to make sure that I was getting my facts right. And then I found this interview with her parents. This clip is only 1 minute long, and then I'm going to read for you. It's very, very short, and then we're going to talk about what this regime is doing. Yeah, so let's do present. And again, about cruelty being the point. Share screen. Here we are. Share. All right, so you can see this is BBC News. Many of you, of course, will be familiar with the BBC. This is BBC News Wales. This talks about a Welsh woman that was detained by ICE. Now, if we look here, now I'm just going to play for you this the clip. So let's just.
We've got to try and address through.
1 second. Now the volume on this isn't so high, so bear with it. But you can see here what the headline says. Our daughter was deported in leg chains, I think it says, in leg and waist chains. So I'll turn the volume up as high as I can. And then let's see if there's some volume on here. Yeah, that's at its maximum. I'm going to press play.
In terms of the punitive treatment, I think I've got to say that on Monday, she was taken from the detention facility.
Wait a minute. Why is this looking like this? Let me just, I don't know why it's got that kind. Here we are. That's better. I'll just play it again.
In terms of the punitive treatment, I think I've got to say that on Monday, she was taken from the detention facility to a location close to the airport, ready to be taken to the plane. Nobody knew she'd been taken externally. We had to have a call from one of her fellow detainees. She was taken in leg chains, waist chains, and handcuffs on the journey to the airport. She's not Hannibal Lecter. You told me she said that she could only walk with the support of an ICE officer because she was shuffling with her leg chains on.
I couldn't believe it when she told me.
So there's a lot of things that really we've got to try
and
address
crying.
through. I guess it can only be through political channels to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else.
All right, so I'll just stop it there. Let's do stop share. Sorry about the sound on that. I think the BBC, I'm going to need to sort that out. That was, the volume there was very low. But so imagine, so their daughter, Welsh, went hiking in America, was detained by ICE and put in waist, leg irons and chains and handcuffs. And it was so heavy that ICE officers had to help her walk. And you see, like, this is extraordinary. Welsh woman. And you can see, like, and of course, and I know you guys understand this, but this is why the whole world is kind of freaking out and going, what the WTF is going on, you know, in America. And these stories are going around the world. And this is also as well why a lot of people aren't traveling. Tourism is down by 25%, they say. In Canada, in some of the airlines in Canada, they have literally stopped some routes to America because people are just like, I'm not coming. I mean, and you see what I mean about that kind of bondage, like I was talking about in that second house. Now, it doesn't mean everyone is like that, but what it means is every nation has its shadows. Like Britain has its shadows as well. Britain used to be a massive empire once upon a time, and there's a big legacy, you know, of that. I'm not saying my country's perfect. It is not. Yeah, I think we've got some real douchebag leaders doing idiotic stuff. You know, there's question marks around Sir Keir Starmer and definitely around Rachel Reeves, yeah, our chancellor. But there are, in the chart, it will always show where those particular quirks are, and Pluto will always show the shadow. And it's just when you get that K2 Pluto together, that's energetically what it can mean. Bondage, But you see now that Pluto's coming back, it's like instead of the situation being dealt with, it's like they're trying to enchain everyone again. One of the best, most powerful chains you can use on anyone is debt. Yeah, debt. Look at these student loans, and now they're going to be taking the money out. It's like they just want to destroy everybody's lives. How is anyone supposed to buy anything? How is anyone supposed to furnish anything? How is anyone supposed to eat anything? I heard it once said, I can't remember where I heard it, but maybe you guys will know the quote. And they said, it is not that we cannot feed the poor. It's that we cannot satisfy the rich. That's what this is all about. You're a student and you want to get a good job, or to have a job, it requires a degree. You have the societal expectation, often parental expectation, family expectation, friends expectation to go out, get a degree and make something of your life. And then you're shackled with these debts that you're in your 60s and you still can't have a hope of paying it off. And now they're going to come in and claw it from the wages as well. Oh, look at this. So let me just read some more here. Karen saying many Americans are going to travel within our own country. I believe for some, for some good reasons. Yeah. Peeper Frog, Hogarth. So that Pluto influence affecting the USA that you talked about earlier, how long is this influence on the US? It's actually part of the natal chart. Yeah. It's part of the natal charts. It means it was an energy that was baked in. It's like something we refer to in Vedic astrology as a samskara. It's kind of a fate that can't be avoided, but it can be modulated. It can be modified, but only with consciousness. My solution for it, although it's an extreme one, but it would work, is that to get out of that energy, America would have to draft a brand new constitution and give the nation another birthday. That's what happened with Germany. You know, when Germany reunited back in 1990, I think it was, because remember the Berlin Wall fell, and then, or it was in the early 90s, but East and West Germany came back together again. When they came back together, that was a new birthday of the nation, and it reset. So in a way, what needs to happen is that America effectively needs to reset this energy. However, it's the Pluto return. So that Pluto, if it were to happen in the next few years, that Pluto would still be in Capricorn, but it wouldn't have K2 there. But for me, I'd be like, it might be better to do it when Pluto is in sidereal Aquarius, but that's quite some ways away just yet. But I just thought I would share that. Yeah, and then Old Silver said they don't care, they just want it for themselves. Yeah, so true, says Jerry. Ellen says America is in a dark downward spiral. The equal opposing force is coming. Indeed. So it's just so I'm finding it hard to even get the words out. Carol where it says article of impeachment were filed today. This is what is needed. Do you see why? Because this is unsustainable. Like, no one's gonna have anything, even the billionaires. The reason why the billionaires are billionaires is because people can buy their stuff. If no one can buy anything, everyone loses, even the billionaires. And this is what is so astonishing with this regime, isn't it? It's a cult, like we said, it's a cult. But so yes, if anyone can give me a bit more details on those articles of impeachment, I really hope that is the case. But that's just what has been sharing for me now. I've not been able to kind of check it. Not that I doubt you, but you know what I mean. Let's see. In fact, let's do a quick. So Carol said those articles of impeachment were, let's just put here, let's see, articles of impeachment Trump 2025. Let's just see. Before you continue to Google, deliver. What's this? We use cookies. Except, yes. Democratic, Republican. Oh, 4 hours ago. Shri. Okay. And John Ossoff signals support for Trump impeachment. So let's just see here. This is 4 hours ago, Axios. So can you guys see this? Let me make, 1 minute. Let me just make sure I'm pressing my share button. Let's do present, share screen. Here we are. So let's see, let's dig into this a little bit. Axios, I don't know who they are and what their affiliation is, but I think I've heard of them before. In terms of politically, House Democrat unveils articles of impeachment against Trump. Okay, so this is something. The Democrats are doing something. Representative Shri Thanedar, I think that's how you say that, on Monday introduced 7 long articles of impeachment against President Trump. Why it matters. It's the first time this year a House Democrat has tried to impeach the president or a member of his administration, though it will almost certainly not be the last. Let's see here. Representative Al Green, Texas, was censured last month for disrupting Trump's speech. Joint session of Congress said he's planning articles of impeachment as well. They all just need to bunch together. Representative Ilhan Omar has also privately floated impeaching Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard over Signalgate. Yes, driving the news. Thanedar, who garnered a second primary challenge randomly morning, said in a statement that Trump is unfit to serve as president and represents a clear and present danger to our nation's constitution and our democracy and the economy as well. That's probably what's going to wake most people up. We cannot wait for more damage to be done. Congress must act, he added. Yes, his articles of impeachment accused Trump of obstruction of justice, abuse of power, usurpation of power, bribery, and corruption. Remember the insider trading stuff? This guy made 900 million. This guy over here weighed 1.2 billion. Remember in the White House in front of the cameras? My God. Mostly related to the president's consolidation of power and personal finances. Reality check. What I've been saying, the measures are almost certainly going nowhere. Oh no, especially with Republicans in control of both the House and the Senate. Thanedar could, in theory, force a vote of impeachment, but has not said if he will do so. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said at a press conference on Monday, I haven't evaluated the articles. Why not? I haven't even had an opportunity to talk with him about it. A White House spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So that's a little bit of a bummer, isn't it? Well, look. At least they've done it, but will they be upheld? Like the article said, it is unlikely at this stage, but I suspect when things get worse, there will be more and more calls. Let's just see here. Yeah, and then it was just this here. And then Katie saying that's it exactly. The greed of the rich is insatiable. And then saying exactly. So you saw I read out that argument there. Here we are. Just read that Representative Shri Thanedar has introduced articles of impeachment on the orange baboon for violation of First Amendment rights. Let's see if it can build momentum. Old Silver, exactly. Take care of unfinished business. And then Kaylee saying, I think Duck Larange has broke the Constitution, so it might be necessary to make a new one anyway. That's a very good point. And I could see something like that. As you know, I've also stated as well that I worried that the United States would actually break up and that certain states secede. Last year, I was thinking that it would be the red states that might go first. But this time, I'm actually thinking it might be the blue states. Let's not forget, Gavin Newsom in California has already said California is the 5th, or recently, apparently, he's just overtaken Japan as the 4th largest economy in the world. And he's looking to potentially do his own trade deals with China. Obviously, they're losing a lot of business. But the only way that they can do that would be, of course, would be to secede. I hope it doesn't happen. But, you know, it's like, look at what Duck Larange is doing. How are people going to survive? This is ridiculous. Carol, she's from Michigan. And Kaylee's saying, haven't heard about impeachment yet. This is very interesting. So breaking story. Moses Mike want to bring it to the floor, and he's saying, well, they're going to block it, aren't they? But Katie's saying, at least the Dems are trying to do something finally. Yes, indeed. Oh, and I got some People Frog is saying, Axios is a good, reliable news source. Jonathan Swan interviewed Duck LaRange during COVID. Duck was all upset when confronted with rates of infection in the USA. But the thing is, look, Duck LaRange is Duck LaRange. We know the guy is damaged goods. Yeah, it was damaged goods from the time he was born. What this is really about is the people, institutions, and those in the cult that are facilitating this, supporting this. This is untenable for anyone, no matter how rich you are. Because what happens if the US goes into a recession, which is almost virtually nailed on, or a depression, the billionaires lose their money as well. Everyone loses. The people who are still supporting this BS, it's just crazy. And it's because they're ideological. What I've been understanding, they're almost wanting to try and induce Armageddon because they believe that Christ is going to come back and save them. This is some of the things that I've been hearing from sources, my sources in America, about what some of this logic is. Also as well, trying to things like bringing what is it, Israel to the shore or whatever. So that's also connected with the Palestinians, who are obviously have that shoreline. There is just a lot going on. And then, oh, Carmen said, I also heard today that 11 states are seriously considering joining Canada. Yeah, it would be something like that. I really do believe it is going to happen. And this was a prediction that I made in 2001 or thereabouts. 2001, 2000. I have to go back and look back at my blog. And it really didn't make sense at the time. I was like, wow, now it's making more and more sense. Jerry's saying, we will welcome you, Canadian, proud Canadian Jerry. Nice to see you here. Thanks so much. And here, and Kaylee saying, the T going round Wall Street thinks Duck LaRange is off his rocker. He is, because it doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense in a batshit ideological cuckoo kind of way if you're trying to bring about Armageddon, or you want to reign as a king and you want individual businesses to come and pay fealty so they can get some exemptions. It's completely and utterly delusional. But just to close, as I said before, Saturn is in sidereal Pisces. Pop, 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 pop. Saturn is the what? Reality check, the reality planet. He's posting the reality checks through everyone's door, making everyone wake up. Even the billionaires and the multimillionaires are going like, whoa, yeah? Because in a recession, but especially in a depression, no one can buy anything. And then when you got tariffs on top of that, no one buys anything at all. So everything just craters. That means all of these companies that are worth billions and billions of dollars will not be worth billions of dollars anymore, because it's based on what people are able to consume. So, yeah, the rich need to wake up. They need to wake up. And but in terms of how America would get out of this energetic pattern, it would have to be in terms of, well, everyone has to evolve beyond and use the positive energies, but failing that, a new constitution, a new birthday with planets in much better signs, in more auspicious places, that could help a lot. So I will leave it there. Wow, there's 180 of you watching. I know I've gone over a little bit. Let's just see here. Jerry saying, of course, we need to wait until after our election today. Want to ensure Carney gets in, not Maple Mag. From what I saw, Jerry, in terms of polls, it was saying that the Liberals were leading. So let's see. But you're absolutely right. Let's wait until everything's counted in. It's here. It's now almost it's 11:41 p.m. here in the UK. Obviously, Canada is a few hours behind. So we'll all know by Tuesday So let's see here. Oh, here we are. So Patricia 1234 says some financial astrologers like Raymond Miriam use the date Constitution was signed in Philadelphia on September 17th, 1787 at 11:29 a.m. Yes, of course, I can understand that. That is also a valid reason. And I can understand why people do that. And again, it's not to critique other astrologers. Everyone can use their reference point. But the reason why I use the Declaration of Independence chart and why a lot of astrologers do is because that was the birth of America as a concept. The constitutions and all of that stuff, that came later. Yeah. But that was when America actually existed. And I was watching, I think it was Thingy Bob Judd, I can't remember his name, but you know, a mature astrologer, and he made a very good point. He said the more a chart is used, and the more it is accepted, the more it actually represents the nation. So until something utterly extraordinary that we can't imagine yet, America celebrates its birthday on the 4th of July. Everyone knows it. Everyone uses it. It's not a critique to you, but I'm just saying, think of how profound it is. America is a population of around about 360 million people, and everyone on the same day celebrates 4th of July, if they're into it, of course. The rest of the world knows America as the 4th of July. It's one of the most famous birthdays in the world. So that one is profound. And this is why I've been able to accurately make these predictions based on that chart. Everything that I've been saying, as you know, the 4th house issues, I talked about education, real estate. I don't even have time to go into Florida. It's dropping by 8 to 9% some places in Florida because, of course, a lot of Canadians have real estate in the warmer cities and states of the USA. They are selling up. Tourism down. I could go on, but I really should stop. I want to thank everyone for joining me. That was a lot of you joining me here live. I will also share this on my membership on my Hogarth Global Astrology. And let's just see here. Let's just see here. What's it called? People from Maine. There's a little town called Little Canada. And then Carmen said, I believe Carney will get in. Trump has been a good reality for us to vote for a liberal, not the Trump clone, Pierre Poilievre. Even Pierre Poilievre is probably not liking some of the things that Duc Larange is saying. And someone here, Liz, is saying, really like this financial format and discussion. Thanks so much. So I will leave it there, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I've gone over a little bit, but there was a lot to cover. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please, of course, like and subscribe and share. And of course, I'll be coming with more updates soon. Hopefully, we'll be getting some positive news out of Canada. The Canadians have really come together. Maybe not so much with Alberta, but I think even let's see how Alberta votes. But Canadians have really come together. The world is coming together. And I want Americans to come together as well. And they will get rid of Duc Larange. Yeah. Once the big money is affected, once those donors are affected, once people can't buy diddly squat, trust me, they will find a way to get rid of this guy, because it's all about that, isn't it? It's all about the money. But anyway, I will leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me, and bye-bye for now. So I'll end it there. Big love. Mwah!